Good evening. This is STV News. Chief Cabinet Secretary Katsunobu Kato announced at the press conference on the 12th that Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga will visit the United States in the first half of April to meet the President Biden. This will be the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders. The proposal to approve the revised protocol, which extend the deadline of the current special agreement by 1 year from the end of 2020, will be deliberated at the plenary session of the House of Representatives on the 12th over the Japanese side's burden of the U.S. Forces Japan stationing expenses, compassionate budget. The government and the ruling party aim for parliamentary approval within the month. The government budgeted 2,017 billion yen in the FY 2009 budget for a new agreement to define the burden amount in a period of year 2010 or later, plans for full-scale negotiations with the U.S. side to the prospect of this summer. On the 12th, Minister of General Affairs Ryota Takeda reviewed the original concept of the ministry's executives with Deputy Minister Masayoshi Shintani at the top, regarding at the verification committee to investigate the impact of the problems received from interested parties on the administration, clarified a policy consisting of only 3 parties. At the press conference after the cabinet meeting on the same day, he said, "In principle, officials of the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications should not be included, and it would be better to start up all by a third party." The verification committee is considering including 3 successive political affairs, including Sanae Takaichi of the Liberal Democratic Party and Seiko Noda, acting Secretary General, who had dinner with the NTT side during her tenure as a Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications. Mr. Takeda said, "I would like to proceed with the examination while listening to the opinions of experts, including the handling of those who have experience in 3 political affairs." Regarding Mr. Shintani, who was reported to have dinner with the NTT side in Shukan Bunshun, Mr. Takeda said, "I was able to confirm the fact that the secretary had dinner. Mr. Shintani declined invitation to dinner from the beginning." At a press conference after the cabinet meeting on the 12th, Minister of Justice Yoko Kamikawa reported in the Shukan Bunshun that she had received entertainment after the resignation of the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications over the issue of the entertainment for executives of the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications. "I will refrain from answering the contents of the article." Mrs. Kamikawa emphasized that exchanging opinions with various people is a necessary political activity. It is the same when you take office as any minister, and it is the same for the deputy minister and parliamentary secretary to act in accordance with the ministerial norms so that the people will not be suspicious. Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications Ryota Takeda announced on the 12th that TOHOKUSHINSHA will start the procedure to revoke the certification, saying that it had applied for the certification of the satellite broadcasting business. According to the Corporate Economic Forecast Survey for the January to March period of 2021, released by the Ministry of Finance and the Cabinet Office on the 12th, the Business Condition Index of all large enterprise industries was minus 4.5. The minus is the first time in 3 quarters. On the 11th, the 6 U.S. offices of the Japan External Trade Organization (JETRO) announced the results of a survey of the Japanese companies in the United States regarding employee vaccination against the new coronavirus. In total, more than 60% of companies have made inoculation of employees recommended or voluntary, and only a few companies have made it mandatory. The survey was conducted from 1st to 5th, and 703 companies responded. Regarding the employee vaccination policy, 33.1% of the companies answered that they recommended in principle, and 31.3% answered that in principle it is voluntary. 34.6% of companies have not decided on a policy. On the other hand, only 1.0% of the companies answered that they are obliged in principle. In the manufacturing industry, the ratio of the recommended was the highest at 39.0%, while in non-manufacturing industry, no policy was decided, was the highest at 38.4%. Mutsuro Kitahara, the next president of the Ido Life Insurance Company, who will take office on April 1, said in an interview by the 11th that he would allow employees to work side by side during FY 2021. Mr. Kitahara emphasized that increasing the diversity of human resources is the key to the growth of the company. While the new coronavirus is forced to change the business model, we will actively incorporate the knowledge and experience gained outside the company to promote the revitalization of the organization. In the life insurance industry, Daiichi Life Holdings has announced a policy to lift the ban on side businesses from April, and diversification of working styles is likely to accelerate in the future. Approximately 3,100 people, excluding sales staff, are allowed to do side jobs, allowed freelance work after work on weekdays and on holidays. Side businesses with employment contracts are prohibited. Mr. Kitahara also emphasized, "I want to accept people from various backgrounds to change the mindset of employees. We will consider allowing specialized IT personnel and airline employees who have been forced to take a leave of absence due to the corona to work at the company as a side business." According to sources, the four-country framework Quad by the United States, Japan, Australia, and India aims to increase production of the new coronavirus vaccine and invest in the Indian pharmaceutical sector. But the United States export restrictions on the strategic supplies are likely to hinder these efforts. While the four countries want to expand vaccination worldwide, they aim to counter China's vaccine diplomacy. In Southeast Asia and other parts of the world, India is the world's largest producer of vaccines. The Federation of All Toyota Workers Unions, which consists of 304 unions of the Toyota Motor Group, held a meeting of the representatives of the 2021 Spring Battle in Toyota City, Aichi Prefecture on the 11th, to gather their intentions toward the final stage of labor management negotiations. It was canceled in the previous year due to the influence of the new coronavirus, but this year it was implemented for the first time in online format. At the rally, 6 monitors were installed so that the faces of about 180 member union representatives could be seen. After broadcasting the statement of determination by the 3 representatives, Chairman Mitsuyuki Tsuruoka sent words of encouragement. Mr. Tsuruoka said, "Let's gather all the strength of the union members, protect employment with 5.5 million colleagues in the automobile industry, and work together so that we can move forward steadily." The manufacturing union completed the 3rd labor management talks on the 10th, and the negotiations for the intensive response day on the 17th have come to an end. Mr. Tsuruoka, who had press conference after the rally, said, "Although the environment is harsh, there has been a very fulfilling discussion that has been engaged more than before." The prior inoculations of the new coronavirus vaccine to doctors and nurses. The second inoculation began in earnest on the 11th. Kazuhiro Araki, 61, director of the National Hospital Organization, Tokyo Medical Center, Meguro-ku, Tokyo, said, advanced vaccination is proceeding smoothly. Dr. Araki, who received the second vaccination himself, seemed relieved, saying, I can now come to the hospital and work with a peace of mind. A 26-year-old nurse said she had a high fever after the first vaccination, but said, I knew how to deal with it, so I wasn't very anxious. There are elderly patients, so it's safer to hit it. According to the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, a total of 181,184 inoculations were given by the evening of the 11th. Of this, the second inoculation that started on the 10th was 443. On the other hand, a total of 37 people have developed anaphylaxis, which is a strong allergic symptom, and the ministry will investigate it in detail in the future. The vaccine from Pfizer, a major U.S. pharmaceutical company, exerts a sufficient preventive effect on the new corona by inoculating it twice with an interval of about 3 weeks. To commemorate the 50th anniversary of the enforcement of the city system in 2020, Higashikurume City, Tokyo, has set up a statue of the character Black Jack, created by the late Osamu Tezuka in cooperation with the City Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Tezuka lived in the city for about 10 years until he died in 1989 at the age of 60 and released many works, such as continuing the serialization of Black Jack. The installation location is in front of Higashikurume Station on the Seibu-Ikebu-Kuro line. Shoyeido, Kyoto City, has released 3 types of incense, including the incense DC Shirakawa, supervised by Walt Disney Japan. The cross-section of the incense is the silhouette of the face of Mickey Mouse, which features large round ears. Shirakawa with the scent of sandalwood, Nijo with the gorgeousness of sandalwood, and Yukiyanagi with the scent of flowers. Each contains 15 bottles and comes with a simple incense stand. The price is 1,430 yen. Casio Computer will release the CXE1 that can be projected brightly from the Foresight View series of small projectors in late March. It can be projected with the room lighting on, making it easy to see the reaction of the other party even during use. It can be used simply by connecting the main unit to a power supply and a computer, and can be started in a minimum of 5 seconds. It is of A5 size and weight 1.1 kilogram. The estimated market price is around 165,000 yen. Batch, chairman of the International Olympic Committee (IOC), said at an online general meeting on the 11th that the Chinese Olympic Committee will send a new coronavirus vaccine to participants of this summer's Tokyo Olympics and next year's Beijing Winter Olympics. It was revealed that there was an offer to provide the Olympic Games. The cost will be borne by the IOC. This is a further guide to ensuring the safety of the Tokyo Games, he said. It is expected to be provided through an international organization or directly to countries that already have agreements between countries on vaccines made in China. Batch said that since September last year, a total of 270 World Championships and World Cups have been held in each competition, and there was no spread of the virus. More than 200,000 tests were conducted on more than 30,000 athletes. Rei TSUTSUGO hit his first hit in the 6th game of the Open game. Once I caught a straight ball and shot a sharp liner to the middle right. At the press conference the day before, he said, "I'm getting better and better." It was a really good swing, said Cash at an online press conference after the match. co-coach of the U.S. Major League Baseball Red Sox, announced on the 11th that pitcher Hirokazu Sawamura will pitch for the first time in the open game in the Rays game on the 12th. I plan to throw it once. Sawamura joined the camp in early March and practiced pitching against the batter on the 9th. Takuya Hirai, the minister in charge of digital reform, received a series of corrections to materials related to digital reform-related bills at the House of Representatives Cabinet Committee on the 12th. We will consider measures as soon as possible, answer to Mr. Masato Imai of the Constitutional Democratic Party. Regarding the bill, 45 typographical errors were found in related materials, and errata created after that also revealed mistakes. And that's all for today. See you next week for another news update.